Bonjour, everyone.
We're starting that way. I like it. Welcome back to the podcast, guys.
¿Cómo estás?
Yes. Welcome back to the podcast. All right. So, episode 13, episode 2 for us.
Love it.
I finally got my good mic. Oh, you can hear it so good.
And we're all pretty similar in height at this point.
Yeah. That's why I should have got me on the short box. Dang, Captain Adrian. All right. So on this podcast, we're going to be talking about HRV, heart rate, sweet wearables, whatever you guys like to wear, like heart rate monitors, Whoop bands, Apple Watches.
Overpriced Garmins, and then imaginary.
And then we got nothing for the Frenchman.
Well, he's self-sufficient. He just checks himself and knows what he's doing.
He wears.
I just work out like this.
He wears croissants. He's got them in his shoes. My heart rate skyrocketing.
I'll slow it down.
There it is. But for all. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. No, what prompted this the other day was in class. Typically, I've seen a few times people will have their phones out and they're wearing like a Whoop band or something. They have their heart rate projected so they can see it on their phone.
A Whoop?
Oh, what way?
What
way?
What did you say?
This is going to be a long podcast.
Yes, a Whoop band. But yeah, so they like to watch that, and then once they reach a certain level of heart rate, they stop.
Yeah,
and they slow down.
So they quit before they even feel like quitting.
Yes,
I like it.
I like it, Picasso. So yes, and I really thought it would be cool to touch on that, like where wearables kind of come into play, but also where it's too much.
Yeah, and I think we're not smashing people that do check it all the time.
No.
If you have a health condition or you're just had a kid and you're pregnant, there's certain things that you need to keep your heart rate at a certain level.
You only said that because Jenny's on the other side of the camera working out.
Exactly, and it gave me a reminder. Yeah. But also that we have some clients that do have some heart conditions that
we do.
Well, Sarah Heasley coming back, right? Like,
I was like,
not yet.
Maybe I should know about that.
No, you know about them. Like she couldn't get her heart rate above a certain level, but
yeah,
for the most of you of our clientele and members, you can push it a little bit harder most times. And that's what we're going to talk about. So
we'll start it with why watch heart rate. Why watch these kinds of things? So they say your max heart rate is supposed to be 220 minus your age.
Oh,
but
great.
but I think that has to. Hey, so what is that for you, Carlos?
130.
Yeah, I look good for 65. Dude, my niece yesterday at dinner.
That'd be 90.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I can't even do math. Dude, my niece.
Did you say 65?
No, because my niece.
Where did you get even that? There's not even a 5 in there.
It was leading into my niece yesterday. She's 10 years old, and we're at dinner, and I'm like, we were talking about how you guys bust my balls about my age, and she's like, well, you look older than Dad. You look like you're 65. I'm like, no, I don't. She's 10 years old. So my brother's like, you should tell people you're older so you look younger. I was like, no.
I don't think that's any better.
But anyways, back to our topic.
But yeah, so it's supposed to be 220 minus your age. But I actually think that that's more for people that are deconditioned, I would say. Like someone who's never, like BMI. BMI is really good for people who've never worked out, who doesn't have muscle mass on them. But for people like ourselves and majority of our clients, it's not good because BMI, according to that, I'm obese.
So am I.
Not a beast, obese.
Yeah. What did Will say the other day when we were working out about the BMI?
Oh, he said if you're not obese on the BMI scale, then you're weak. I was like, yeah, I guess so. It's pretty good. But yeah.
It's funny.
What are you going to say, Adrian?
A few years ago, I had I think when I first started working, I had like a doctor's appointment for work. And she was asking me a bunch of questions, and then she calculated my BMI, and I was not fat. I was working out a lot. Just like, oh, you're going to have to pay attention. I was like, attention to what? She's like, yeah, now you start working, you got to be sitting at a desk, and you can't be eating all that food, because I told her approximately how much I was eating. She's like, you're gonna have to be careful, or you're gonna get fat. It's like, sure,
cool.
But yeah, BMI. I think that's I think that has become very obsolete or irrelevant.
But people still ask about it. They still wonder about it because their doctors still use it. But it's a very outdated.
It's very interesting that doctors are still use that.
Yes.
Especially that, I mean, we have so many more ways to actually measure someone's body composition.
Yep. Like DEXA and all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But it's that 220 minus your age is kind of the BMI of heart rate in the sense of like it's okay to have an idea. Like I'm 35, so that would put my max heart rate at what 185, and math. And
don't look at me for that one.
Carl's like
65,
120. No, and I've had my heart rate up to 192 before, so technically I should be dead.
Damn.
You know, oh yeah, I die real hard.
Yeah, my Garmin is so not accurate with that.
Garmin
that
is
sometimes
on point.
I actually think I'm the opposite. Even as a kid,
Had low heart rate.
Because I wore
Chest strap.
a
harness,
a bra for a while just to give it a shot, see if it'd help. It didn't. No, I wore one of those chest devices, and never my heart rate would never get even close to 200 before when I was in my teens.
Really?
Yeah, that's when I was biking a lot. But my friend who was training with me, his heart rate was over 200 the entire time, and I always thought that was interesting.
Makes sense. Then.
I think
why you're so in shape.
Do you breathe like through your mouth?
No, he was actually really good. Like I wasn't better than he was.
Probably because he tried harder.
Maybe.
He got his
but I
heart
just
Adrian's like, whoa. I'm out of breath. We're gonna stop.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that my heart rate would never go very high, I guess, compared to like other people.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I mean, I'm pretty similar. Based on this, and I think Fitbit I used before, but I can get through a workout where I'm pretty gassed and be around like 150, 160. There's very few times I can get up to like 175, 180, like where you're at, where I can actually comfortably, what I mean by comfortably is just push through it.
Yeah. There
was times like here when I moved here where between energy drinks, coffee, and then the elevation, 5 box jumps, I was literally like hyperventilating.
Dang. Yeah, so to give you an idea of different, if you don't know the different kinds of wearables, we have like Garmin, that's what you wear, right? The good thing about Garmin is it does a lot of maps and stuff for like hiking and like those kinds of things. So if you're an avid, like even say hunter, hiker, mountain bike rider and stuff like that, it can track all of your GPS is really good on those, and the battery life.
Yeah, it's a good battery life.
Relatively good. It's like a week or something like that of just regular use. I have no idea.
If you pull off the daily tracking, like the
metric stuff,
the metric stuff, it'll last 21 days.
If you turn it off,
it'll work anyways.
Hopefully, like you'll get about a week of use of it.
Oh, that's nice.
Turn it off.
Nice.
Yeah,
you'll both love this.
It's pretty good.
You just wear it just because it looks like you're wearing a watch.
Yeah, dude, and people, everyone knows this, that I barely even know how to work it still.
Sounds about right. And you've had that thing for a couple of years, so
4 years.
Oh my god!
You can upload maps, and I always forget.
Listen, Carlos, sometimes I start to think he's getting smarter, and then you reel me back in.
I do it purposely.
I used to wear a Whoop band. So Whoop bands, you might have seen. Say Whoop band. How do you say it?
Whoop. There it is.
Whoop bands. Saying what way? Whipped cream. I used to wear the Whoop band, and what's cool about the Whoop band is the interface that you interact with is really good because it will give you an easy readable like recovery score, meaning like we'll get into this a little bit more, like what your HRV is, what your resting heart rate is, how much deep sleep you got. Like you wear it all the time, and it has a portable charger that you charge. So you charge the charger, slide the charger over, so you technically don't ever have to take the Whoop band off because you want to wear it while you're sleeping and stuff like that. I have an Apple Watch. I stayed away from the Apple Watch for a long time just because I didn't want to spend that much money on a watch. But now that I have it, I love it. I've wore both at the same time, the Whoop Band and the Apple Watch.
Double information.
Well, I just honestly wanted to compare the two. So the Whoop Band is a monthly membership base. So you have to pay like $20 to $30 a month for the Whoop Band in order to access. Once you cancel that, like literally you can't, like you can log in, but you can't see any of your data or anything like that. There's other ones, like you said, the Fitbit, that one's a little cheaper. Yeah. It just kind of gives you resting heart rate. I think it'll say some things about sleep, but that's about it. The newer watches and the newer bands and stuff tell like your temperature. So like, I was looking at the new Apple Watch that they just come out with, and what's cool about it is it tells you your temperature, your body temperature and stuff like that. So it's really good for women. So like if you're trying to get pregnant or not trying to get pregnant, you can see like whenever you have spikes and stuff like that. So that's a way of testing that. I thought that was neat. But there's other things. That's kind of like the basics of all the wearables that you can do. The last one is going to be the Adrian approach, and that's the listen to your heart rate.
It's just like everything else. It's just that easy.
He's in tune. He got it. We found out earlier that he buys stuff online all the time. According to Carlos, he doesn't. But
apparently, yeah. No, I guess
just cheap things.
Only cheap things. That's it.
No, I think one thing that we can discuss is, I guess one thing that the main reason I tend to stay away from those devices is because I am scared that it could introduce some sort of bias in your training or the way you feel, right? Mm-hmm. Just because a device is telling you, hey, you recovered or didn't recover enough, or, you know, hey, today you're supposed to feel great and PR every single lift, and then you end up having like a really shitty workout, which happens. And on another day where the app tells you, hey, you know, it's basically telling you don't even think about going to the gym because, you know, like supposedly you didn't sleep all night and your recovery is like terrible. And then you may be missing like an amazing workout.
Me and Mattis were just talking about that earlier. That they're good metrics, but when you're doing HRV and looking at it in a daily.
So HRV, to give you guys an idea of what HRV is that's the variation between your parasympathetic system and your sympathetic system. Both of them are working evenly. So the space between the beats of your heart are uneven. You want that. So it's not like a steady, just steady thumping the entire time. You want variation in that because that means that both of those are working really well. So that's a really good way of tracking your recovery, your sleep, all your different stuff like that.
Yeah, because like the sympathetic is you expending, right? That's your fight or flight. Yep. Parasympathetic is your recovery, rest and recovery. So it's comparing two of those. And if you're looking in a day's scope, that's not going to tell you exactly what Adrian's saying is like, oh, I can't do this, can't do that. What it can do is over a long period of time in a good sense is give you an idea of there's a correlation between the HRV and performance, meaning if you're always getting hurt, you can start to look at what your heart rate variability is at that.
So now your recovery of the parasympathetic, sympathetic system is going to be way higher than the other. And then also if you like almost get into a car wreck, your sympathetic system that's going to be your fight or flight is just through the freaking roof and you're just like stressed. Yeah. So I agreed with you, Adrian, about that. So I remember when I first got my Whoop, like I'd been wearing it for like 4 or 5 months. And I remember one day I had like a 20% recovery. And Britt, my wife, she was like, oh, you going to work out today? Because you're not supposed to, according to your watch there. And I was like, I'm going to work out anyway. But I see I've had people come in and be like, oh, my recovery's really low. So today I'm just going to take it easy. But I've seen where people do that.
I was that person all the time. And then, you know, you find that some days where you don't get a lot of sleep, shit, I PR'd the hell out of a workout or everything just clicked really well. Yeah. I don't suggest doing that every single time, obviously, right? You got to listen to your body.
All in, bro.
Just go full send.
Yeah.
I like it.
But no, I think that ends up being the problem with wearables is that people tend to lean into that a little too hard. I will say, though, I remember one time one person in class, she was like bent over, kind of catching her breath. I was like, what are you doing? Let's, just being dumb. I was like, come on.
Pick up the bar.
Come on. And she was like, I'm trying to let my heart rate come down. I was like, I was like, it's probably not going to come down.
It's like it's going to go right back up.
That's the whole point of the workout. And I was like, what's it at? And she goes, 204. I was like, all right, yeah, you stand there, kind of catch your breath. Like once it comes down, you'll feel good. But for me, and then we can each kind of go
204. Pick up the bar.
It's not at 210.
It's not 220.
Let's
Pick up the bar.
Is this why you're yelling at him to do burpees yesterday? Just get up and jump over that damn bar.
No, I didn't have to yell.
No, he said that if he ever breathed like me,
I would seriously have a panic attack. I would stop working out immediately.
It was bad. Yesterday was extra bad. Yes. Yep. That was how my breathing was. But yeah, so I think for me, whenever I was wearing it, what I started to realize was it became justification. So after I'd finish a workout and say I'd lose like running and burpees are my freaking kryptonite. So let's say I lost a workout by like 4 or 5 minutes or something like whatever. I lost a workout. And in my first thing in my mind, I tell myself, it's like, oh, you should have went harder. You could have ran harder. You could have done this harder. And then whenever I looked at my heart rate and it said that I got to 190 or 185 or something like that, I'm like, no, you gave it your all. And that helped me learn to know like my breathing. So whenever I'd be hyperventilating or in that like super pain cave, I would look down at my watch, which I can now, my Apple Watch, the Whoop Band, you can't, you could kind of look later. It would be like, okay, you did give it your all. You did great. Like that's the best you could have done. You couldn't have pushed yourself any further. So next time try, but it kind of gave me a little bit of justification for losing the workout or not doing as well as I wanted to time wise.
But could you not have pushed harder?
Maybe not. I don't know. To be honest, like yesterday, like whenever we were doing those burpees and I was like, I had to stop. Like I was really trying. My whole body was on fire.
Yeah.
It wasn't just because I need a moment to rest because it was like I was trying. Everything was shutting down. And it's like I'm trying to go any harder.
Get that
point. But I started to learn whenever I start breathing heavy, I know where I'm at heart rate wise now, just because correlation. I've learned to see that. That's what worked for me. But I didn't lean into that to where I made it to where it was like, okay, bro, you're out of breath. You can stop. Like
that to me is almost more of a valid metric, like feeling how your breathing is compared to heart rate.
Yeah. I get that.
Because I mean, I don't know, a heart rate is one thing, but it doesn't do everything, right? And sometimes your heart rate may be high, but it could go higher on a specific day. And you know, obviously those apps or those wearables go off of, I'm guessing, benchmarks that are not necessarily that are obviously supposed to work for everyone, and that are not necessarily based off of athletes, but more like average people.
So how the Whoop Band does, and obviously the only reason why I know it's just because of experience with it, and I'm not saying it's correct, but how you do spend, I think it's a 2 week or a week and a half period where you don't get any data, in the sense of like, you don't get any readings. It's not like, hey, you're this much recovered. Hey, you're this much hard of a workout. You don't get any of that data because it's basing off of you. So like your HRV, like my average HRV was like 48, which I was just talking to Sarah earlier today, and she said her average is like 104. Like that was Nick Fritchell's, but Nick's was I think it was like 120, 130.
120, 130 what?
HRV. So
yeah, I think there's
certain
parameters per age group.
No, this was based off per person. So with HRV, it is very specific to per person. What yours is not comparable to mine. Obviously, the higher the better.
No, but they have a guesstimation between age groups like 30 to 39, 20 to 29.
There are those readings.
It's just it's a generalization, but it's not
none of
accurate.
those apply to in the app. Like, they don't put any of that in the app. Like, yes, there's like generalizations of heart rate and stuff like that per age, but no, there's none of that in the actual app that has to do with you. It might give you parameters of like most people at this age are like this, but it doesn't correlate in the two, if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
But I agree with Adrian, and like if you lean into it too hard, like, oh, if my heart rate gets above this, I need to slow down.
Well, let's also talk about where they're getting that information from. Like, right? Like there's all professionals that are like, you shouldn't have your heart rate above this. Right. This is bad for you. I think that leans a little bit was what Adrian was saying. It was like, it just doesn't talk about like athletes or like people who do CrossFit. Is that what you're getting at?
Sure, kind of.
Well, and
Um,
sometimes you need to be uncomfortable, right? Like when you're
Yeah.
doing something, it's
Depending on the workout, yes.
yeah, like obviously pain or like my knee's swollen and hurts. That's a
Yeah.
totally different story versus I can't breathe. I don't think I could do this. It's getting past that and pushing through that.
There was were you going to say something about that? Okay.
No.
There was something I was listening to, a podcast. This was probably like a couple months ago, and I texted James Serby, who used to coach here. He's
Yeah, we used to
he was
run.
getting his doctorate at the U, and super smart guy, very analytical. I was texting him. I was like, hey, they said this on this podcast, and I thought it was like freaking ridiculous, like in the sense of like, wow, that's nuts. So it was saying that feeling that you get of I'm dying and I need to stop is literally being produced in the part of your brain that produces feelings. So like happiness, sadness, anger, I want to quit because I think I'm about to die is literally a feeling that's being produced in your brain.
you mean an emotion?
Yes, that's the word. It is an emotion that's being produced in the brain to tell you to stop. Because what it is it's a signal being sent from, say, like your quads. Like if you're doing a bunch of squats and it starts burning really, really bad, it's your body's mechanism of saying like, hey, you're about to snap your leg in half. Stop. You need to slow down. Or they're about to start cramping or, whatever.
But the reality is that that's not going to happen because your
Exactly.
body's extremely resilient.
But that is also a trainable thing. So like whenever you have someone who comes in off the street that's never worked out before, never played sports, and you have them do the baseline workout that we have people do, which is the 500-meter row, 40 squats, 30 sit-ups, 20 push-ups, 10 pull-ups.
Mhm.
Do that for time. By the time they finish their squats, they're so gassed and tired that they want to quit. And what that is because their body is not used to getting in that uncomfortable zone. So it's like, bro, you're about to die. Stop. Your heart rate's too high. It's at 120. What are we doing? You know what I mean? It's doing that. So it's literally a trainable thing that as you progress through it, and that's what he said that he was at the U, they were doing studies on that specific thing. I was like, well, that's awesome. Tell me more about it.
Yeah.
So he was just saying that that's literally something trainable. So that's why whenever ex-athletes who haven't worked out for 20 years come in and do like CrossFit or any kind of exercise, not typically, but sometimes they will get injured or they'll get rhabdo or they'll overexert themselves because they've already trained that part of the brain to know that their body can go to that threshold, but they're so deconditioned, their muscles are deconditioned, they haven't worked out that their body doesn't have that signal of buffering anymore like it needs to. That's why like a lot of people, if you haven't worked out in like 20, 30 years or 10 years or 5 years or whatever, slow. Even though you used to could, don't push yourself to that used to could. There's another Southern word of the day.
Used to could.
He sends me shit like that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things where I feel like there's 3 reasons people would get injured in CrossFit, right? One is the facility and the owners and coaches don't do a good job, right? That's a common one. Second one is that you're a former athlete and your ego is way too big to fit through the door.
Or I wouldn't even. I would put like a subdivision on that. Not necessarily you're an ex-athlete and your ego's giant. And I would say it could be ego. Like, yeah, I used to be able to bench press 500 pounds and I'm going to do it again. Or it could be just you don't understand that you're not there anymore. Then go ahead.
Yeah. And then it is a combination of the two. And this is where you have a different mindset than I do is I know when I don't have to do what's on the board. Because I started CrossFit just to get back in shape and then found the competitiveness. But I did women's weight for the first year. People used to get mad at me and be like, dude, you need to do men's weight. I was like, no, I want to go faster.
Yeah.
Is always, yeah, dude.
For some reason, that does not surprise me.
Oh, because you lost yesterday? Did you hear it yesterday after they...
Carlos finishing the workout in like half the time before everybody, you just walking around like, yeah, that's right. I just smoked that shit. Half the weight.
Dude, I was way
I don't
bigger.
care. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Dude, like him yesterday.
Fitter than all of you.
We beat you guys, and he goes, you should have done 100 more meters on it. It wasn't fair.
Technically, yes, you should have, but that's fine.
But theoretically, we shouldn't have because the program because it was me and Britt. It was 1,800 meters.
So
I would have approached it differently had I had 900.
So for you guys that don't know, we did a 2K ski as a team buy-in, and it was guy pairs did 2K, girl pairs did 1,800. or sorry, guy girl do 18, girl pair do 16, and that is an aggressive. My wife Brittany programmed it, and she didn't know when she made it up, and it's fine. I just left it. Typically, if I do a 2K row as a guy, a female does a 1800. That's the equivalent, I would say, for time. And you as a male did with a female 1800. See what I'm saying? So it's like, so you should have done, if we're going to throw it up, it should have been 19. But
all because I said we were going to beat them by a minute, and we only beat them by 30 seconds.
That wasn't even 30 seconds. That was the saltiness from it was 12 seconds. Saltiness from
That's because I let Brett finish the last 150.
Was that what it was? Listen, she was skiing harder than you.
Can't be happy that you won.
No, because it's not validated. So there's an asterisk next to it, but according to you.
Dude, not at all. We tried our hardest. No,
but that's an example of why I brought that up too, is the HRV is normally you've seen me ski. I was like a 205 skier. You gave me a couple pointers and it sucks, but just pulling hard on that, you can push past where my heart rate was probably jacked up. Like
spiked.
Doing 140, 141, almost dropping into 130 for after all the work we did. By the way, the middle thing sandwich, the Oreo in the middle was miserable. Burpees, cleans, and double unders.
Yeah, it was terrible. But yeah, so I agree with you. So I think kind of what you're getting at there is like, know that it's okay to scale the workout and you don't have to do what's on the board to keep yourself from injury. But with the heart rate side of things, like there's different zones of heart rate that you can, like zone 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it 5? I think there's zone 5, which is like you're redlining as hard as you can, and
zone 5 you're dead.
Yes, you have reached max heart rate and it has stopped.
You went to 230 beats per minute.
Dead. You are dead.
Yeah, because I'm not 100% on any of this stuff with the zones, but like zone 3 is like, is it zone 2 or zone 3 is like high fat burning. That's like what people always want to get into.
Zone 3 is you're just outside of nasal breathing. So it's like you can breathe through your nose normally, but it's just kind of like if I heard it said this way, if you're in conversational pace, meaning if you're running or something and you can talk how we're talking here, then you're in zone 1 or 2. If you're in zone 3, you're struggling a little bit to talk. You're kind of more labored whenever you're talking. So that's kind of like zone 3. Zone 4 is there's no talking. Zone 5 is, as we covered.
Zone 5 is burpees over the bar.
No, you're in a grave. You're in a grave under the ground. I was borderline zone 5. Yeah, so that's going to be the different zones that you can do. But whenever you're tracking heart rate, so like one thing I did a couple of years ago, I was doing like some marathon training, which I never ran it. I just ran a half.
Smart man.
Yeah. Oh, God. But one of the things I did consistently once or twice a week was I'd run for 30 minutes to an hour, and I would watch my heart rate. And my goal was to keep my heart rate below 150, around like 145, 150, something like that. And no matter what pace I was running at, that's what I had to stay at. When I first started, I was holding like a 12-minute mile pace, and I would have to like stop, watch my heart rate, see it come down, take off again, and I had to learn how to go. But after about a month and a half, I think, worth of running and stuff, I was running an 8-minute mile pace, holding the same heart rate. So what I was doing is I was teaching my body how to recover while running and how to breathe and how to get rid of CO2, how to pull in better oxygen, how to shuttle those things. So you're actually teaching your body how to handle the CO2 and oxygen better. But in the training styles that we do in the CrossFit is going to be high intensity. And there's different variations, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off. This workout's 30 minutes. This workout's 10 minutes, whatever. So I think learning the different heart rate variations can help whenever you're doing the endurance side of things. But outside of that, in CrossFit, to be honest, I don't think there's.
And then like, do you think there's like a specific time? Like, are you always going to your max capacity with intensity in the workout?
Always.
100%. 210%.
Full send.
Just go out there and give 110%.
If you have a 30-minute workout,
ham from minute 1 to minute
out
30.
the gate, full send. Full send on the gate.
Yes. No.
He's being sarcastic, by the way.
No. I'm serious.
Dude, someone came up to me today, looked at me and goes, "Is Adrian serious about it's just that easy?" He's crazy.
No way, really?
It's Brenna, dude. She walked up. She didn't find your sarcasm, so we do have to let the interjection know that like he is not 100% serious. The thing about water and those things, he is definitely serious about.
Yeah. So with that, in regards to your question, I think the program that is written by the programmer should dictate that. And because I've had this conversation with Brett, like there's people that come out and say things like CrossFit's not good for you because you shouldn't go hard like that every single day. And I agree. You shouldn't go like 400-meter sprint every day.
I mean, you physically can. I mean, if you try to do 100%
every single day, right?
That's not going to work out.
So that's why I say the programming should dictate that. So like yesterday's workout was a 40-minute cap. It was a 30-minute workout. I did red line, but it happened at like the 20-minute mark.
How do you feel today, by the way?
Feel fine.
Same with me. That's like the other thing with the programming and stuff is you shouldn't be waking up every single day like you're 85 years old rolling out of bed. Right. Like there's something missing there. You're not either doing Adrian's checklist.
Listen to my knees.
Or you're not doing the stretching I'm doing.
Just fall out of bed.
Dude, you're going to laugh. Like 10 years ago,
gravity works really well.
Dude, when I hurt my back after competing, I literally used to have to roll out of bed. Like go to work and then try to like put a tie on and suit jacket and stuff. I'd have to get up 2 hours early just to roll out of bed. And then I had to sit all day long, which was even worse. And like all the doctor did was give me monthly. No, dude, they used to give me monthly prescriptions of Flexerol because that was the only way I can.
Holy crap!
And so like, yeah.
So and just to kind of put a bow on it with the programming side of things, like one day should be interval style train, Italian. We're gonna start yeah. So
follow the program.
Follow the program to the T, and have a baguette. So like day one should be, let's say intervals, 2 minutes on, 1 minute off, 5 rounds or whatever, 3 minutes on, whatever. Just some kind of intervals where you have a work rest ratio in there that you can spike your heart rate, bring it back down, spike it, bring it back down. So you're working different ways like that. Day two should be, let's go like it's a 15-minute AMRAP. You're working for 15 minutes straight. If I tell you to take off running for 15 minutes, you shouldn't. Don't listen to Adrian. You shouldn't take off running in a full dead sprint because by the time you get to about a minute, you're going to peter out. And then now you've kind of missed the quote unquote stimulus of the workout. It should be something to where you kind of hold a heart rate, say, I'm taking a guess, depending on the person, like 150, 160, 170, somewhere in there where you can keep moving and keep functioning to where you're out of breath, but you're able to keep moving. If you hit it really, really hard in the very beginning of it to where it's like you kill yourself, for the first 3 minutes, the next 12 minutes are going to be absolutely terrible. You're going to be useless. Like you're going to be flopping through whatever it is. There's also like 30-minute workouts. You should approach a 30-minute workout versus a 10-minute workout completely different pacing wise, I should say.
Yeah, same thing as like if a 5-minute workout, you're not going to treat it as a 30-minute. You need
Fran. Let's say we're doing a 20-minute AMRAP of Fran, right? You're just going to keep repeating it. Okay, that sounds absolutely god awful, but that'd
be pretty rough.
Yeah,
Adrian's like, I can do 10 rounds.
I would do 1 round and call it good. But if I were to tell you to do Fran once, that's 21, 15, 9 thrusters, pull-ups. That workout should be sub 5 minutes.
What is your style of workout that you love? Like if I used to love Fran. You're gonna think I'm really messed up. This is gonna summarize everything. I did Fran every day once I got under 5, like 135.
That doesn't surprise me.
That explains a lot of things.
Kettlebell Fran.
Did your head hit the barbell during the workout?
I just
once a week you had to test that.
I loved it. Like it wasn't like I did it every day as like my benchmark workout. It was like it was outside the parameter of my training, and that's what like kind of led me. I hated burpees because I sucked at them, so I do 100 burpees every day. And my goal was to keep the burpees under 5 minutes. So when it came in a workout for me, 10 burpees, 25 burpees, that's cake.
Right.
Like that's just how I train myself to be better at stuff. But like, what is your creme de creme of workout you love?
His what?
Creme de creme.
Oh, let's hear it in the French way.
Creme de la creme.
There it is. There's just a lot more.
Damn, that was so much better.
There's a lot more in that.
I butchered that.
It's funny. I said beaucoup, like a lot of stuff. Didn't realize that was a French word.
Is it really?
And it's say it.
Beaucoup.
Yeah, beaucoup.
Beaucoup?
Yeah, not
what
beaucoup.
What does it mean?
A lot.
A lot. Like if you have a beaucoup amount of money, I don't know. Or like beaucoup.
Wow, I was saying that, meaning that, and I had no idea.
Good.
Maybe someone told me that a long time and I just forgot. But
so how would you spell it?
BOKU.
Oh God.
Boku.
Boku.
Yeah, so
Spelling is not
two
my
things. Math and spelling are.
I'm actually really good at math.
Just have Carlos write you an email. It's
No, emails are good.
It's
Text
Boku
message.
funny.
yes, it is Boku
You know where I'm.
funny.
It's like FUBU. Fuck you, by us.
Yeah. Bye. Anyway, I don't even remember what we're talking about.
Your favorite workout?
Yeah,
Like
your
what's like
favorite-
what's like your?
I like the time domains 10 minutes plus. 10 to 15, 8 to 15, something like that.
Is there like a specific workout you love, like that's your jam? That's like it's just built for you.
So I say I like those workouts 10 to 15 minutes. The reason why is because sprints typically hurt me a lot worse, and I can't really hold that very well. But oh hey Brett just walked into the gym. But like a workout I'm really good at is Diane 21:59 deadlifts, handstand push-ups. Best time I ever done was 2:19.
I hate you. That's one of my
And,
worst.
and they were all real good reps. I promise.
They weren't
Like,
Jeff
I
Bridges.
wasn't doing the no stand-up deadlifts and the not lockout handstand, but like it's just those are two. I'm good at pulling. Yes, the Presley handstand push-ups. She's like, look, they're really easy. I'm like, yeah, when your hands are wider than the mat.
Oh,
I don't know.
dude.
What about you, Adrian? What's your burpees, running, hang power?
Yeah, I don't know
cleans,
that
GHD?
time domain matters too much as long as it's not like past 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh yeah,
It's whatever. He's got a 2-minute lead on someone.
yeah. He just
But-
pulls back.
Yeah, I guess I think in my case it'd be more like movement related.
Yeah.
Obviously,
There's a lot of movements.
Yeah. So more like gymnastics
Okay.
type of workout. I guess I prefer just because I'm a little better at that.
Yeah, I know all of Adrian's kryptonites because we've talked about it. Hang power cleans, GHD sit-ups.
Barbell cycling is one he always
yes.
does. Like I like barbell cycling.
is not
Yeah.
my forte.
It's because he does an early arm bend and is clean, so he just basically does like a bicep curl every time he does cleans. That's why he's so jacked.
That's transfers very well to gymnastics.
Yes.
Pull-ups.
God damn right. 275 clean in the middle of a class workout. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good.
stuff. But yeah, I don't know. For me, the time domain, the reason why is because like I get really nervous before a sprint, and I really hate like that's why I hate repeating workouts is because once I know how they feel, and I don't want to feel that again.
That's what I miss about old school CrossFit, where you couldn't try anywhere. Like
Yes, I wish I could go
like-
back and erase all memory of how like Fran feels, how
oh,
Helen.
dude, so you bringing this up about how I don't warm up, it really made me think a lot. And I was like, dude, why do I do shit like that? And it goes back to when I competed in basketball. I went through a period where I went to a shoot around, started shooting. I was shooting really good for this game. It was a tournament.
So you
And I
used all
pra-
your shots.
Dude, I went on the biggest cold streak you can ever imagine. As a shooter, you try to shoot yourself out. Dude, I went like 0 for 40. Like, it was horrible. And from that point on,
You're that person that doesn't want to do.
He
They
was
don't wanna
like,
do-
the basket was there. He was like, pass me the ball. Pass me the ball.
Raindrops. Just,
but yeah.
drilling the freaking
Bro,
kid in the stands.
I don't get it.
So I would get anxious and nervous before competitions. Like, people, like, you'd go to the competition and it'd be like, all right, we're doing clean and jerks. Well, I'll give you a better one. We were at the Beast of the East up in Connecticut, and it was like one rep max Turkish get up.
Wow,
Dude,
That's
everyone
literally
was
the
grabbing
dumbest
dumb.
thing.
Dude, everyone was grabbing them and
interesting.
practicing, and they're like, why aren't you gonna practice? I was like, because if I practice it now and I can't do it, I'm just gonna get frustrated. I PR'd it because I knew where my hands needed to go.
Jesus,
But that's where-
Turkish
but-
get up.
Doing, like, warming up and doing the workouts beforehand,
Have you
I
seen
fear I get bad at it.
Have you seen that like squat thing where it's like the bars on the ground, they drop it on their back and then stand up, whatever they
I
call
forget-
it.
Oh yeah. I can remember you.
It's some like
Yeah, it's like an old school way.
Yeah.
That would remind me of that.
Mhm.
We're gonna find a 1 rep max that squat. All right, cool.
Oh,
That-
dude, you'll even love this better. It was like a deadlift something workout, and you were able to. It was like, do the workout. You had 2 minutes of max deadlifts. You can bounce the barbell on the ground.
makes sense.
So you saw people just,
It's more efficient. I would just
yeah, it was. And then there was a 5K in it too. This is one of the, like, I went home with like just pure misery after the 3 days up there.
Yeah,
But that's I started
the
thinking.
old school way of CrossFit. That's why I feel like CrossFit's got a pretty bad name for the most part because of like the old school way of how. Like I was listening to a podcast and they're talking about like how we have like an on-ramp program, and it was a training think tank, really good podcast. If you guys ever want to listen to CrossFit stuff, they're pretty good. They talk about competitors and CrossFit games, but also they talk about like their gym and stuff. And they were like, back in the day, you didn't do an on-ramp. You just jumped into class. And yeah, I remember those days. It was like, all right, come in. And he brought up at the CrossFit level 1, they would make you do Fran. Now they don't do that anymore. You do burpees and thrusters.
Yeah. I was lucky, like where I started CrossFit.
I'm sad that they don't make you do Fran anymore, but
Why did they change?
I think the reason
too many people got rabbed up.
probably. But the ripped hands always happen because of the pull-ups. But I think also, if you have someone brand new and you teach them a thruster, you teach them a burpee, they're more likely to be able to hit those things than you would being like a person brand new. We're going to do 45 pull-ups. So I think it's that, but I think it'd be really good for a lot of beginning coaches to learn how to teach someone who's never done a pull-up. All right, we need to teach you how to do pull-ups.
Yeah, we're going to do jumping pull-ups.
What's really interesting to me is that the level 1 is supposed to be what allows you to coach CrossFit.
Yeah.
So why would you be brand new?
No, there's people there that have never done CrossFit.
Dude,
Why?
Because they wanted to open a gym up. Dude, there was like 2 pizza shop owners and they never worked out.
Yeah.
Like, I heard about this, so I'm going to do it. I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for a year.
There was a gym back home that my sister would drop into when she was a personal trainer and she was trying to get into the CrossFit world of training. I remember I went there and the full gym owners, right? There's gym. I think they had like 150 members, something like that. And I remember I was doing squat snatches, and they're like, "Hey, can you help us? What's the difference between a squat snatch and a power snatch?" And I was like, "Hold the phone. You're doing the programming, you're doing the coaching, and you honestly don't know the difference." So I pulled them over and I showed them different stuff, and they're like, "Oh, cool! Can't wait to show class." And I'm like, "Dude." I mean, they've come to find out it was one of them's dad.
The snatch is like this, right?
Yes. And you hit yourself in the forehead.
Real hard.
But yeah, so if it was one of them's dad that learned about CrossFit and was like, "Hey, this is the next big thing that's taken off. Let's get in early investing wise." So he's like, "Here's $200,000, go." So they all got certified. Him and his 2 buddies got certified.
Yeah.
They built a building. They bought all the equipment, did all that. So it's like, they were brand new to CrossFit and never done it before. Now they're gym owners because someone backed them. But I feel like that's the old way of CrossFit. Nowadays, I haven't heard of a person that has never been certified, never done CrossFit before, been like, I'm going to go open a CrossFit gym. I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy because it's not cheap. Like, I remember when I got my certifications early on, they were like $200, $300. Like, to pay $1,000, like,
yeah.
When I was working full time, I was like, okay, so how do I pay for this?
Yeah.
All right, I pay $1,000, and then I was like, oh, if I get it, I can coach. It'll offset the price. I'll get my return on my investment. Needless to say, like, it's paid off full as being a 10-year career so far. But yeah, I think what CrossFit didn't want to deter anyone from being able to do the level 1 and learn. And I felt like that was I felt like the certification and Flow Masters for mine were really well.
Yeah.
I remember do really job.
One of the questions at our L1 though, they would always ask like, how many people in here have been doing CrossFit for 10 years? How many people in 5 years? All the way down. They're like, how many people have never done CrossFit before today? And you'd have 1 or 2 people raise their hands. Then the next question would be, how many people in here are not planning on coaching from getting this L1? And there would be like 5 or 10 people would raise their hands, and they'd either be athletes or they've just want to learn the knowledge more of CrossFit just because of the amount of information you get. I've had people take it that have no interest in coaching and then come talk to me afterwards, and they're like, dude, I did not realize it was that much goes into what you do. Not like putting myself up, but they're like, I didn't realize it was that much into coaching, programming, just running a class in general. I was like, yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, we've been doing it so long that it comes second nature, but there's a lot to making a class flow pretty well.
Yeah, but we kind of got off subject. That's okay. But starting out with as a trainer, starting with people or as a coach, when you see someone like huffing and puffing, really out of breath, like to know that, yeah, it's okay to stop. And like, that's one of the things we say in our one-on-ones is like the I was talking about the baseline. All right. I always tell them like, hey, it's 40 air squats. You don't have to do all 40 in a row.
Yeah.
But like you can do 10, rest for a few seconds, do 10 more, whatever. Like
how many people actually listen to us and then do all 40 and then then they're just like, wait, what do I have to do next?
Yeah.
30 sit-ups, and they get their 10 and they're like,
yeah. So there is that that aspect of it of learning as you progress on how to pace yourself on these workouts and not do giant sets, not do those things, but always kind of leaning into that super hard is what's going to hinder you from having progress.
It's like go between like a David Goggins and I don't know who would be like someone that's always monitoring their heart rate that can't get it too high.
I don't know. Jenny, because she was pregnant. But I don't know. Yeah.
Yep.
Or you can take the Adrian route, which is kind of like just monitor everything off by feel. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like learning to understand your body on that. Like there's a book that Carlos is reading. I've seen it. I know what it's about. I've never read it. It's the Unplugged.
Yeah, with Annie Galpin, Brian McKenzie.
Yeah.
And someone else's co-author.
But they're basically just talking about don't lean so much into wearables.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's actually, like, just to make things clear, I'm not like anti-wearables.
Listen, you're going to only eat meat. Can't
First
wear
of
any
all,
like to wear any.
Drink water out of these nuts glass jars.
Poop in the woods.
Make sure you dig a hole.
No, but like yes, I'm not like anti-wearables. I think they look cool. I think some of them can provide some valuable information. I think maybe for most people it'd be better used like as like after the fact to analyze what you did rather than before the fact to try and like figure out how much you'll be able to push or how what happened yesterday is supposed to impact your workout today or the way you feel today.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because life isn't perfect. It's not a perfect homeostasis. You're not going to get 9 hours of sleep every night. You're not going to drink and eat everything perfectly unless you're Adrian. So using the wearable, I feel like if you're data driven, I feel like Matt, you're data driven, right? Like you don't use it.
Yes. I'm not like the nerd guy that likes to write down all my data shit, but yeah.
No, but like
I used it was I was just trying to figure out correlations. Like if I saunaed too close to bed, my recovery be super low because my resting heart rate would be elevated throughout the night. If I ate like I was doing casein shakes before bed, this is me personally, my body was now digesting that for the majority of the night, so my resting heart rate was elevated. My resting heart rate's normally around like 44 to 45. Whenever I would drink a casein shake, it would be like 56 to 62 throughout the night. Shit.
I've been starting to take casein. I didn't even think about it.
But it was just like, I was like, oh, okay. So that's what happens when I eat too close to bed. So eating close to bed has nothing to do with gaining fat or whatever. It just has to do with like now your body's focusing on digesting that versus
recovery.
Like getting nutrients into the muscles and trying to get everything in. Like that's when you produce the majority of your growth hormone and testosterone. So now instead of your body focusing on doing those things, now it's focusing on digestion. So that was just like something I realized, and Adrian's shaking his head because he's like, yeah, that's right. And that someone like Adrian knows because he's probably listened or read something like that. Or me personally, I didn't know. So
I've read stuff, but I also go and feel like you. But I'm small data driven where I'll use it in the beginning and then I go based more like Adrian, like feel like I try not to eat before bed, but like if I'm sitting there restless after casein and I'm like, I know I'm hungry.
Yeah,
I'll go eat something.
I never sit there restless or anything. Like my stomach might growl if I was hungry, but
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything, Adrian, that you kind of intuitively figured out throughout your years of working out that you do specifically? Like I'm on a like glass jar metal thing, but I'm trying to get rid of all plastics. Like I know that there's no, wow, I feel so much better because I'm not drinking out of a plastic cup. You know
I went down a rabbit hole looking at all this stuff on that.
No, I mean, I guess, and we touched on that a little bit last week, but I think it's really just like people tend to focus too much on like the little details rather.
2 hours later.
And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. A little bit of a malfunction. I guess these batteries only last about a podcast and a half, so got to start plugging it in. So Adrian, go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah, so the things I figured out over the years of like training, right? I guess it's I don't know. It's really just like the basics, right? I think people tend to focus too much on like the details, like what's the next supplement that they should be taking, or like I
Like
don't know,
mud water.
like pre-workouts, protein shakes, creatine, and stuff like that. And I'm sure I don't know, people have heard that before, but I think really just focusing on like just good food, good sleep, and avoiding pretty much like any source of stress. So quit your job.
Get rid of your kids.
Yeah. Just go on vacation, just sell everything, and come to the gym.
See, he's really not crazy at all.
That easy.
Sound advice.
But yeah, trying to really limit like sources of stress as much as possible. Getting good food, getting good sleep, and then honestly, if people really focus on that, I think most of them would feel amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. People tend to lean into all. I think it's just because it's all the new cool. Like I remember one lady one time, she had just joined the gym or was thinking about it, and like we were just training, and she had her fitness level wasn't too high. You know what I mean? She was trying real hard, came every day consistently and stuff like that. And she was like, I think I'm going to get the toe spacers. And it was because she saw a games athlete. No, she saw a games athlete wearing that because that made them maybe 0.25% better. And it's like you're talking about the 1% of the 1% trying to get that 1% better.
And then watch like Squat University talk about how it's going to increase blood flow to your foot and like, make you stronger.
It's like you're getting 4 hours of sleep a night. You're eating like crap. Like you have other boxes you need to check off before that.
What do you think? What do you think drives that? And all this? I mean, I used to be that person that wanted a quick fix, like a one pill wonder.
It's that.
Everybody does.
It's literally that because it's
advertising. Like we get sucked into advertising.
If I were to tell you, Carlos, you need to cut out a lot of the things that you really enjoy right now is because it's like indulgence for like at least the next 6 months.
I don't want to, Madison.
Right.
I want to be able to drink every night. It's also a lot
easier because it doesn't require discipline.
Yes.
Well, I was going to go back to exactly what we talked about last week.
Eating well requires discipline because it means saying no to other things that may be very tasty, but that will afterwards make you feel like shit. Or, going to bed early. It requires discipline. It requires you not, watching TV until...
Isn't it awesome that it's so weird that the things we hate to do, but when you do them, create an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
And the things that we crave and do that are bad for us that you do afterwards, after like eating a pint of ice cream or like candy or pizza, you feel like shit afterwards.
Yeah.
And we continue to do the same thing over and over again. Like it's just interesting, our human behavior with that.
So kind of pulling it all together, like the wearables and those kinds of things are really good because then you can potentially start to monitor and see correlations of certain aspects of your life, of certain decisions you're making, like you're saying, eating ice cream, pizza, eating too late, drinking alcohol, not getting enough sleep. These kinds of things can cause direct negativity on your body, but leaning into these things too much can also cause a negative effect because now you're not able to push yourself. You're not able to read yourself, your feelings. You're out of breathness.
And you're stressing out about those numbers all the time. Like, I didn't get that. I didn't get that number of sleep. My HRV is too high.
Like the steps thing. I've seen people at like 10:30 or 11 at night go for a couple miles walk because they didn't reach their steps for the day.
Dude, I'm not going to say his name, but they were like, they're like, I normally don't come on Friday. I'm like, well, I'm glad you're here. Why? Like, why are you here? And they're like, I just need to see all fours for the week on my sugar wad. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
So you don't have to work out.
Wearables are interesting, right? They provide interesting data.
Yes.
But I guess they are not required. They're not required to be a good athlete.
No.
Or if being a good athlete is not the goal, they're not required to be healthy to begin with.
Yes.
Yeah, just to add one quick thing on that. Like I was watching that video I was telling you, I sent it to both of you. The dude talked about HRV like way back in the day, and when they tested it, it was on like high level athletes. I'm talking like NFL, NBA, where they would put probes on your chest. The device was 30 grand. So we've taken a device that's 30 grand for athletes to measure this. For regular,
for like the Whoop band and stuff like that.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but we're relying on it 100%. I think Adrian's right. You have to listen to your body and go from there.
Yeah, cool. I hope you guys got some good info.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Real quick before we end up, I want to do a Q&A podcast. So I'll put out on our Instagram page. It's Beyond the Metcon. Follow that. I'll put a post on there, and I want you guys to put questions on there. And we're gonna spend not next podcast, one after that. I want to do just a full Q&A podcast. So ask your questions, DM directly. You can send them to the gym. Coach Matty P's my Instagram. Adrian, is it just Adrian?
Coach
Botteri?
Adrian P.
No, it's like Adrian Boteri, and then
I don't even remember mine.
Gibson
I think
Fitness.
it's Gibson Fitness is probably the easiest
Yeah,
one.
if
But
you
we're not looking for serious questions though.
No, only like when you're riding a unicorn, how do you do backflips underwater? So those are the kind of questions.
And can I grow hair?
Cool. All right, guys. As Carlos would do.
Yeah, buddy.
Later, bro. See you next time. Later, guys.